Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Ryan on Listen Up. Ryan, this game had it all. This is one of the best Sundays that I can remember in recent history since we started this podcast. And it's not just because the UConn women's basketball team won a big game today. Other reasons why, and it just so happens to come on New Year's Eve, right, Ryan? New Year's Eve, the last day of 2023. We appreciate everyone watching this video and people, Ryan, right, that have tuned into previous videos because we could not do it without you all. So again, thank you. And here's to a great 2023. And we hope, Ryan, that everybody joins us for more 2024 action. I know that Ryan will be excited for 2024 because it means, Ryan, that we're just that much closer to March. Let's get right down on into it. Final score 95-64 today, Ryan. Coming into the game against Marquette, again, this was a great team. We said it, right? We said it on the last check-in. The rebounding, controlling the tempo of the game, and staying hot on offense was a couple keys for UConn. Right down on into the first quarter, Ryan, Marquette, they were number one coming in three-point percentage in the Big East Conference. Marquette had not, listen to this, Ryan, had not been out-rebounded in a game prior to this one. So, Ryan, this is going to get interesting. I know you can't wait to hear it. It was a sellout crowd. Shout out to everyone today, Ryan. It was a complete sellout. And I know they mentioned Marquette is probably not even used to playing in front of crowds like this. So, a fun time, exciting times for both of these teams. In the first quarter, Ryan, it was a perfect pick and roll first play of the game for UConn. It was a turnover. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh my goodness, because I know Ryan's not watching. And when Ryan doesn't watch or listen, it's usually, not so good. We need Ryan to watch and listen. But anyway, Ryan, 5-0 Marquette start. And the more I'm here sitting here shaking my head, I'm like, it's a good thing Ryan is actually working, right? There was a foul call and shade from the 3 line. So Marquette came out, Ryan. Listen to this. Not even 2 minutes in, 8-0 Marquette. The big headline, 10-0 Marquette. And that would force Gino to call a timeout right away. And I'm starting to sit here thinking to myself, Ryan, do we have a problem? But King and Carlin got off to a great start for Marquette. It was a good job by Edwards with her second chance points. And then all of a sudden, Ryan, after the timeout, it was it. Lights out for Marquette. UConn never looked back. Gino was using his bench a lot quicker than anyone anticipated, especially you coming into this game. So I thought, man, what is the fourth quarter going to look like with the bench being used, him going to the bench players so quickly? 13-0 UConn run from a couple, and that was including a couple threes from Paige Bueckers. Buckets, Ryan. 26-21 end of the first. And again, UConn never looked back. The game actually changed really fast. It was a 19-0 it was 19-0 UConn on second chance points. Great rebounding from UConn in the second quarter. Each team with a double-digit run entering the second. Aubrey Griffin had and Edwards, with a great play to give UConn a 10-point lead. 33-13 since the 10-0 start from Marquette, Ryan. 33-13. Bueckers with the steals, assists. So let me just point out to you now, it's amazing to me to see Paige Bueckers. I said it to you earlier a couple of weeks ago. I need to see more out of Paige Bueckers. In my mind, I never really thought, the flashlight didn't click. I need to see more out of her defensively because we're always so used to Paige buckets, right? That's all we ever talk about, Paige buckets. Ryan, Paige Bueckers had it today with the steals, the assists, the rebounds, and scoring. The blocks, a couple great blocks. The Huskies dominated the glass. At halftime, we find the score, Ryan, 53-36 UConn. Third quarter, it kept on rolling out of the locker room. Bueckers with her 4-3 during the third quarter. Edwards continued to be a threat down low when Marquette stayed one-on-one. No answers for Aaliyah Edwards. 66-43 UConn at one point. Free throws by Griffin, Aubrey Griffin. Otherwise, she did a great job. But her free throws today was a little bit off, and that was very unusual considering she does very well from the free throw line. But anyway, the Huskies getting to the free throw line a lot today and previous games is great news heading into 2024, right, Ryan? KK Arnold hit a big 3 in the third quarter at the end of the third, 80-47. And then the fourth, it kept rolling, right? It kept rolling. The ball was spread around really nicely. Final score, 95-64. Aubrey Griffin, again, the headline continues off the bench. She can change a game within the blink of an eye. Very effective. Aubrey Griffin, as long as she gets her free throws to fall in, and I had faith. I believe that was just a one-time thing today. Nika Mule was in the post-game interview, Ryan, and she said that they needed a wake-up call coming from the break. Edwards and Griffin took care of business, like I told you. And UConn, UConn, Ryan, took it personal that Marquette is such a great rebounding team. Very physical game. Shea did a great job defensively. Ryan, it moves UConn to 10-3 overall. And, I'll be honest with you now, 2 quick points before I turn it over to you. A couple plays that, whether you care or not, should definitely go on ESPN tomorrow morning. And not only that, a couple great layups. One was Paige Bueckers, a great acrobatic layup. My second point is I truly believe this team is starting to wake up. Ryan, this is, and again, hopefully I'm not talking too soon, but this is, I understand as you see, just please, and we haven't been covering this team for 20 years. Okay. Please understand, Ryan, and look, just for me, look at what's happening before your very own eyes. All right. They're taking care of business in the Big East Conference, something that they've been doing for years and years, right? If they can get in to these games against South Carolina, and there was another big one, Notre Dame, I believe. What is this? 6 in a row now? This is it's starting to look dangerous. I'm just going to say that, Ryan. And again, it's okay to lose. That's what they did. They lost 3 games early in the season against all top 10 teams. It's okay to lose. I might be wrong on that, but it's okay to lose. Okay. Well, my point is, Ryan, if you get into the dance, watch out. And I will always back my word from here on out. No matter what happens, this is a team that's waking up.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 games they've lost have come to three of those teams in the top 5. So definitely not bad teams that they lost to. I mean, this is kind of what I was expecting. I said it the very first game of this homestand in December when UConn had all home games except the Toronto game. I kind of expected this to happen. UConn just completely dominated at home, and that's what they did to finish out 2023. So I think it's kind of what they were expected to do. I don't think I don't think a lot of people are surprised that UConn's really playing this way right now. Of course, they have another big one coming up on Wednesday, traveling to Creighton, another very good Big East team. But I'm so glad that they were able to handle Marquette pretty easily. It seemed like, except for that first quarter, and like you said, after that, UConn just rolled the whole entire game. So I'm glad to see UConn finishing the game strong. Seemed like another great team win. Aaliyah Edwards double-double. Paige Bueckers 25 points and Nika 10 rebounds, 7 assists. So it seems like all these Huskies are starting to play the way we kind of expected them to coming into the season. So it's just really great to see. But yeah, I mean, UConn puts them in a great spot going into the new year. Should be interesting again tomorrow to see if they move up or not. In the AP poll, I'm kind of expecting maybe a couple spots, considering, I mean, Marquette was a pretty good team, and it seems like they beat them pretty easily at home today. Like I said, big road game coming up, but I'm so glad that UConn was able to finish his homestand in December undefeated.
A UConn Blitz for sure. Let's go over to comments, Ryan. Adam Evans goes, great take, guys. Happy New Year. We should look ahead and trying to all watch the Notre Dame or South Carolina game together. Yeah, it's wild that he says that, Ryan, because I've actually been thinking about it and I meant to bring it up to you that we should try something a little bit different. And some of these, I mean, every game is great. Let's not say, I mean, every game though has their, but to get to the point anyway, the South Carolina Notre Dame game, I've been thinking about asking you, man, Ryan, should we actually go on a live stream with all of the, because look at all these beautiful people that come through and watch us, right? I mean, we couldn't do it without them. So I'm thinking to myself, man, it would actually be really cool to interact with them live for a change.
Yeah, it would be fun. We'll have to definitely think about doing that. But those two opponents, even though they do play each other, I'm sure that would be a great game to watch. But Notre Dame, South Carolina, it's obviously two teams that the two biggest teams that UConn has on their schedule. So I'm kind of expecting them to really win out. Those those two games are definitely the toughest left, but I do believe they can beat Notre Dame. Obviously, South Carolina is going to be the toughest one, but
Yeah.
every game except South Carolina, I think, is very winnable for UConn. So, like I said, it just puts them at a really great spot. And if they do, if they do drop that one to South Carolina, all four losses would come to four teams in the top five if all three of those teams that they previously lost to remain in the top five.
Okay. Come on, guys. Tom Kibbe goes, come on, guys. Quit hoping to see Carolina again, at least for the foreseeable future. Her overall health is more important than basketball.
Yeah, I just think it's unfortunate with Caroline because, like I said, she had, a phenomenal freshman year. And it just seemed like after that, she just hasn't really been able to stay healthy, and put forth the effort that we were kind of expecting and the big glow up. And, for her to do that during a sophomore and junior year. So unfortunately, it hasn't really panned out the way that we thought it would, and I'm sure that she thought it would. But hopefully, she can get healthy again this season and come off the bench, or possibly in the starting lineup and help this team in any way she can.
Yeah, and he also goes, what about Marquette? Have they been on break too? Well, yeah, it seems like to me, Ryan, they took a little bit too long of a break. Of course, you can't help the scheduling, right? But no, I mean, they put up a good fight right there in the beginning. Like I said, I mean, truth be told, right? We're not going to sit here and lie, but I mean, after that, they were not effective at all. But I'm sure Ryan knows, you know what it's about. Okay, we won't go there, but you know what it's about, Ryan. All right, that's all I'll say. Jason D'Amico, King is dangerous and needs to be isolated and contained. She hates losing to UConn. And if she gets hot, she will give UConn a very hard time. I hope our UConn team did not eat and drink as much as I did during this Christmas week, or else they will be playing like they had pianos on their backs. Laugh out loud. Peace, fellas. So, takeaway, Ryan, what do you, I mean, yeah, a laughing matter in his comment, but what on a more serious matter, after you talk about Jason D'Amico's comment, it seems like to me, now I did predict 90 points. They scored what, 95 today. Just seems like to me kind of odd, if you ask me. I'm not saying it's anything to really stress about. Kind of odd how nobody was really expecting this. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because of the rest, like Jason said, of both teams, and I think it was interesting to see how both teams would start the game. And I know Gino said previously, before the game, that he was kind of nervous about the long
Yeah.
break and how UConn had a lot of momentum coming in. And it didn't really come at an ideal time for UConn. Speaking about the break, so. But I'm glad, UConn kind of cleaned things up there and finished the quarter strong and went on to finish the game strong. But it definitely was interesting with those two teams having such long breaks, and I think that's a big reason why nobody really knew what to expect out of this game. Considering the fact that if it would be close, but two really good Big East teams, but like I keep saying, UConn at home. I just believe that there's not a lot of teams that can play UConn at home, and like you said, not a lot of teams really can play or deal with the atmosphere that the UConn crowd provides, and I think that flusters a lot of teams, and they just can't quite keep up with UConn, especially when they play at home.
All right. How about one more? Let's go down to Lindsey Matthews. The AP can say whatever they want. They have to say something. The 11 national championship banners hanging from the ceiling of UConn's Gamble Pavilion speaks to us here in Connecticut. UConn is number one until some other team has one more than UConn already has. Yeah, I mean, Ryan, that's a good point. I mean, that's, um, at the end of the day, when you talk about failing in March, I don't think, to be honest with you, again, as I know they don't want to hear it, Ryan, but no matter what, I think that just it is a beautiful thing to see. I don't really consider, again, you want to win it all, but if they don't, for some reason, I'm sorry, you're not going to sit here and convince me that it's a failure. The way that they started the season from Paige Bueckers coming back from injury, it's almost like, to me, Ryan, if you understand what I'm saying, you take the whole team. You know how you have one award for comeback player of the year? I feel like handing that out to every single player on this roster, UConn roster, after the season, no matter what happens. Because again, who expects freshmen to step up like this? Who expects Aaliyah Edwards to do it all by herself down there in the paint a lot of the times? It's Ryan, comeback, the whole team, a comeback team of the year, if you ask me. And AZ Fudd, without AZ Fudd, come on, 95 points, Ryan. Get real.
And I think it's just because we're talking about UConn. I think with any other team in the nation, it would be considered a successful season if they don't win the national championship. And that would really be the case for the last 3 years that we've been covering the team. But it's just the standard that comes with UConn. And like Lindsay was saying, with how many national championships they have, Gino said it himself before the season that if UConn doesn't win the national championship, it's considered a failure. That's just the way it is, and that's that comes with how many national championships that UConn has won and all the success that UConn has had over the years. It's just the expectation is that UConn is always going to be there in the end, Final Four or in the national championship every single year. So I'm sure it's frustrating for the players when they don't, of course, win the national championship, and I'm sure all the coaches, but definitely, if they do manage to make it to the Final Four and unfortunately don't win the national championship, I would definitely consider it a successful season as well.
All right, one more time, final time. Shout out to UConn. Shout out to our beautiful people in New York tonight, Ryan. We hope everyone makes it home safe. Happy New Year to everyone. Ryan, don't forget to watch that beautiful ball drop in New York. Your favorite time of the year, right, Ryan? Listen to this. It's a terrible thing, I think, in life to wait until you're ready. I have this feeling now that actually no one is ever ready to do anything, Ryan. There is almost no such thing as ready. There is only now. Ryan, for the final time, I love you. I love you to death, cousin Ryan. And I appreciate everything 2023 has brought to you and I. And we couldn't do it without everybody, right? Everybody watching right now. Don't forget to like the video. One of the most important things you can do tonight, just click that like before the ball drops before your very own eyes on TV in New York City. Ryan, I will see you in 2024 for the final time in 23. Phil and Rye on what? On what, Ryan? On
Listen up.